This is the John John neck cowl. Comes in a variety of sizes. We're going to look at how to assemble it today. And it can be an all-season kind of neck cowl depending on which type of fabric you use. I have one for every season. Let's take a look. You're going to start by cutting out your pattern and assembling it. Please note that the bottom has the additional sizes that will have to be cut off and attached, as you can see here. The sizing is based on a standard men's collar size with a few inches added. So if you're an extra small, you'll be an extra small on the cowl. But feel free to measure and double check those as needed. You're going to use about 1/2 yard of fabric for this project. It's a great project if you have a small remnant laying around that you love. Here are some finished examples made with a variety of fabrics to give you an idea for how they might fit or work in different seasons. You'll see even the quilted one provides a lot of structure, so choose carefully with your fabric and don't forget to include your button. We're going to start here using a buffalo plaid, and we're going to go ahead and cut out the pattern as you see here, being sure to cut your preferred size off of the pattern as well. Note you do cut off 2 different pieces, a front and a back panel, as you'll see here. Once you have those cut, you'll go ahead and pin them together. And then off to the left-hand side, sometimes I like to use painter's tape to remind me not to sew in certain areas. So this is letting me know to leave that end open so that I can turn it right side out later on when I begin to sew. Once it's assembled, it's sewing time. We're going to use a 3/8 inch seam allowance, which I used a piece again of painter's tape off to the right-hand side to mark my seam allowance. You're going to use about a medium stitch here, and if you are using a jersey or a stretch fabric, be sure to change to a ballpoint needle and consider possibly using the zigzag stitch instead. This project is great for a first-time sewer. It incorporates a lot of straight stitching as well as a couple of curved lines, which is nice, and to finish it off, you even have to do a little bit of hand stitching. Now it's time to turn it out. Don't forget to go ahead and clip those corners. That way you reduce the amount of bulk once you turn it right side out. I'd also encourage you to grab something like maybe a screwdriver with a piece of tape over it or a Sharpie to kind of push all of those seams out. Give it a quick press, and now it's time to position our buttonhole. So grab that button that you got earlier. The bigger the better for this neck cowl. It adds a nice decorative touch. You're going to go ahead and mark that edge based on your original pattern. If you look closely at the video, you'll see there's an opening still at the end, and you're going to kind of sew in between the opening to get your button on there. You could sew through both sides. This is just how I chose to do it. Take your time and get that button positioned correctly. You're going to go ahead and mark the other side for your buttonhole, and then we're going to fold in the opened end and press it neatly so that we can then ladder stitch it closed. Here I demonstrate with some embroidery floss and a large needle just because it shows up better on the video. But like I said, you'll do a simple ladder stitch all the way down the length, and that should close up your end nicely. Once all of your ladder stitches are in, you just give it a nice tug on the end, and that will close up the seam neatly, being sure to knot it off. Now it's time to get your buttonhole ready. So grab your button attachment and go ahead and get it mounted onto your machine. Typically there is a setting that you can put it on for this purpose. Be sure that you've marked that hole exactly where you want it, and then it will pretty much do the work for you. Now, if you don't have a buttonhole attachment like you see here, you're just going to use a tight zigzag stitch and basically make a rectangle, leaving a little bit of room in the middle, similar to what you're seeing right here, just using your standard machine. And you can still cut it with your seam ripper right down the middle to open that hole up. Now go ahead and test it out, see how that button fits, and check out your work, because you did it! Here are some examples of some other fabrics that were used to make the same neck cowl. If you want the pattern, please check the show notes below where I'll have it linked, and be sure to like and subscribe so that you can watch future videos.